Hey everybody, Befron here, and today we're going to learn how to ship your Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering cards. Let's jump in. Alright, so I've gotten a lot of questions over the last couple months of how to kind of like open a store or how to ship your Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic the Gathering cards as you open them, as you want to kind of sell off some of the bulk that you've got. How do you ship those to customers on sites like TCG Player, eBay, and other card selling sites like that? So I wanted to make this video to give everybody a little intro of how to do those things, how to safely and securely ship your cards and, make a little bit of money back off of cards that you don't need, while also having happy customers who, want those cards, which is great. Great for the community, great to keep that market of singles always flowing so there's plenty of cards available that people want to buy. So for a little context, I've been selling, probably since I've started this channel, I've been selling pretty actively. I'm not a huge store with tens of thousands of sales. I don't own a card shop or anything like that, but I sell about 1 or 2 cards a day, maybe a little more than that now. Over the past couple of years, I've sold a little over 1,000 packages probably. So, I'm kind of at that point where, I can make a little bit of my money back as I open a box or something like that. I can sell off some of the cards I don't need. I'm shipping very much on a daily basis, but I'm not a store. You're just a casual opener and, maybe you open a box or so of every set and you want to get rid of some of those extra cards and make some of your money back. I think this video could really help you out, kind of how to get into that business of shipping. I'm going to probably make 2 videos related to this. So right now, we're going to go over how to ship your cards, but then in a later video, I'm also going to go over different websites that you can use to sell your cards, like eBay, like TCG Player, and I'll go over all the ins and outs of those websites. So this is maybe going to be like a 2-part series. So when that link is available, when that video is available, I'll post a link here. And I'll also link this video from that video when I post it. If you like what you see, as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. A lot of people who watch these videos are not liking or subscribing, so be different, be the change that you want to see in the world, like and subscribe. And also, a lot of these products are things that you can buy on Amazon. I'll be posting links in the description. If you like any of the items I'm showing you, you can use those links and buy those items. It helps to support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra to buy those. It just literally sends like a little bit of the purchase to Befron. And anyway, with that said, I appreciate you watching and let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing I'd like to point out, right, it's not even really about actually shipping. But if you're going to make a business out of your card selling and you're going to be selling a lot, again, a couple things a day, give or take, you want to make sure that you have a station, right? So that your stuff is not all over the place. It's not, oh, I keep my envelopes over there and I have tape over here and my stamps are somewhere else. You want to have a station ready to go. And so what I have here is kind of like my station. Now I've moved my station onto my filming space that you can see right here, but it is kind of, the range of stuff I have in one spot, and that has everything from tape that I'll need to seal envelopes. We have a thermal printer, which I'll go over in a second. Some labels for that thermal printer. I have in this box I have a bunch of sleeves you can see back here. I have card savers, top loaders, little cardboard. So all my basically like card protection stuff. I have my envelopes over here and some bubble mailers. And then I have over here are some little like baggies that I like to put stuff in to keep things extra safe. So that's the station. I think everything in here is pretty clear what you do with it. I mean, everybody knows how to use tape. Everybody knows how to use top loaders and envelopes. The one thing I'd really recommend out of this whole station is this thermal printer. So what a thermal printer is a printer that prints things with heat instead of ink. So, you think of probably the printer you might have on your desktop at home is a regular ink printer or a laser jet printer. You need to keep like refilling it with cartridges and things like that. Thermal printers use a special kind of paper, and then they just like basically burn the paper to print the label. And that's how a thermal printer works. And it's nice because you don't have to keep buying ink for it. You just have to buy labels that have that special kind of material. If you've ever been to like a USPS store or UPS or any kind of store like that, that's how they print those labels. So you've definitely probably seen one of these before. Like when you get a package and you see like an address label on a package, it's probably printed from like just black and white. It's probably printed from one of these thermal printers. And then these come in little different shapes you can get. And again, these will all be on Amazon. This was originally like a roll of like 1,000 labels that you can get. And so this is like a label maker that you can then like print your address, so you could put it on an envelope. And same thing whether it's your return address or the address you're sending to. And then there's a larger variety of that, which is 4x6 that you can put on like a bubble mailer, just like that. And that's for, you know, a larger label that goes on a larger package and things like that. And this is, like I said, a Rollo brand. There's a bunch of different brands. I think this was about $100 when I bought it about 2 years ago. It's a nice little thing. I mean, it just plugs into USB on your computer and then you put power in it. And it's got adjustable different sizes. So if I open this up, there's this little thing here. It's a little dusty, but you know, you adjust these little prongs to fit whatever size of paper you want to put in there. So whether you want to put, you know, a little label, like address label like this, you'd feed it in and adjust those little prongs. You'd make it a little wider so you can put these larger address labels in. But that is it. So you definitely want to get one of these if you're going to be shipping regularly. That definitely helps out a lot. I really like this. I'll just do a couple like in-depth of some of these devices. I like this. This is a pretty heavy duty kind of like tape dispenser. It's nice because it has the heavy tape, or packing tape, as well as just regular Scotch tape in it. And then a nice place for your pens and stuff, which is, again, just something you want to have around and make sure you're organized for that. And then this box, going into a little bit more detail, is, like I said, I've got card savers, which are like these kind, which are good for maybe a few cards. They open up like little pouches like that. There's top loaders. All right, so these are like your thinner plastic ones. And then some card sleeves back here. I actually have a much larger stack of card sleeves over at my regular desk, but all different sizes and things for Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon cards, whatever needs to get shipped. I've got sleeves for it right here. And then, like I said, envelopes, a combination of regular letter envelopes. We call these plain white envelopes, or PWE, plain white envelopes, and bubble mailers, which, you know, I'd use for slightly more expensive cards or maybe a small collection of cards that I want to send. And then these things are just little like plastic pouches. I like to put a little bit of a plastic wrap around the cards that I send just in case it rains while they're shipping. And I've had cards in the past, like the mailman, I guess, is like delivering them in the rain and the envelope gets wet and then the card inside gets wet. Having a nice little like sealable plastic baggie around them is great. Some companies call these team bags because like you'd ship a team of your baseball cards in them back when baseball cards were the more popular thing. But these are just some like generic cellophane baggies that I got, again, off Amazon. They do the same job and they're just less expensive. So I like those. And that's basically everything I have in my station. Forgot one other thing, stamps. I just needed to move that over here to film. But another good thing you need to have around, if, you know, I'm in the US, so these are US stamps, but I'm sure it's pretty similar in other countries. Basically, I would recommend getting a roll. There's certain places, I think like Costco and some other stores where like if you buy these in bulk, like a few hundred at a time, you can get a discount. I don't know how that works again in other countries, but that's at least how it is in the US. So, you know, if you know you are going to be shipping a lot, I would recommend getting this in bulk, taking advantage of that savings that you can get. And yeah, that's really it. So that's kind of like the general organization thing. Like get a station, get everything you need, and put it in one area that like every time you're going to go to ship a card, you have everything you need in kind of one station. Another thing is just generally recycle. And this is, you know, it's not only good to reduce, you know, waste, and it's good for the environment. You're not making as much garbage, but you're going to save a lot of money too. So if I go back to this setup that I have here, a lot of these shipping items are just recycled top loaders. So every time I buy a card, you know, usually they look a little grimy because they've been used and they've been sent, but they still work. I mean, these are perfectly good top loaders. You know, sure, they're a little scratched up, but they're perfectly good top loaders that I've received cards in. I don't know, I guess I've received a lot of these like red ones, which are pretty neat, but I've received cards in these, and yeah, you know, I keep the top loaders. I'm certainly not going to throw them away. Same thing. Some people like these I've never bought these myself, these cardboard ones, but you know, some people like these. I think shipping shields. I think they're a little too thick, honestly, and plastic is better. But you know, if you like that, and I guess it's a little more environmentally friendly. And then card savers are good too when you have a few cards, maybe like more than 5 or so. You need one of these. You can't really get them into a top loader. So, you know, again, at one point I did buy a whole box of these, but then again, I recycled the box and now I keep all this other stuff in here. Same thing with boxes too. So I have a few samples of, you know, just little things you buy on the internet. Keep the box. Don't throw the boxes away. For like this box this big could fit about 50 cards in it. So if I sell like a whole bunch of cards, I'd ship it with this, right? Same thing. Another good size box is right here. I guess it's a little hard to see. I'll hold it up to my head for comparison. But you know, this is again good for maybe a few hundred cards, like in Pokemon or Magic the Gathering. You have like lands or energy cards, and sometimes I sell like a bulk lot of like 200 lands, like 40 of each basic land, so it'll be 200 lands. Something like this is perfect to ship that in. And then also is your tins. So YuGiOh tins, a lot of these, this is the 2022 tin. Sometimes I just use these to ship. I mean, if I have a bunch of these, they're cool to have like 1 or 2 for my collection, which I like, but like I don't need 12 of them, so I'll use, you know, some of these to ship out some stuff. Yeah, you know, they're just good to package. They're really good size. Obviously, like they're made to fit cards in them, so definitely, you know, good way to recycle and use those too. So now we can go ahead and jump into how to actually pack a card. So generally the way I do it is what I do with all the cards is, you know, you'll take your card, my runaway trash bot from Kamigawa, and I'll slip it into generally speaking, a penny sleeve. Put it in there. Right, so these are penny sleeves. They're called penny sleeves because you can generally get a pack of 100 for about $1. And then slip it into a top loader. Right, tap that down. Again, my well-used top loaders because I don't like to buy them new. And then put a little piece of tape over this. I recommend, a lot of people, the one way to make it a lot easier is if you fold the piece of tape over a little bit. That way, when you seal this top loader up, just like that, there's that little piece there that somebody can more easily grab and pull the tape off. So that makes it nice. So you'll do it like that. And then take one of these plastic bags and slip it in here. And you pull the tab off. I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna save this. And then you'd seal it down like that. And then once it's in there, this is like my basis. So from everything up to here is the same regardless of what kind of envelope I'm going to ship it in. You know, from there, like in a plain white envelope that I would send it in. Generally, I would use a plain white envelope for cards, probably under $20 or so. I mean, I'm willing to trust this. Basically, when you send something in a plain white envelope, again, in the US, I think it's the same in all places. If you just send something in a plain white envelope, I would slip it in here, right? And, you know, return address, sending address, recipient address, and then put a stamp. Now, the problem with these plain white envelopes is that they're not tracked, right? So, you know, I'll put a stamp on it, put it in the post box, and then I'm kind of dependent on the recipient being a trustworthy person. So there's no way to track those or find out if somebody received it. Generally speaking, I've had very few problems doing this though. You know, probably in the 1,000 or so cards or packages that I've sent, I've probably had a problem, I don't even know, like 3 or 4 times, probably under about 1% or so. Now granted, if I were a bigger store or maybe more of a target, I would have had more problems, but I've really not had much of a problem. Like I said, I would probably only use this for cards under about $20. After that, I would still want to use something with tracking, but yeah, under $20, I just kind of take the risk. It's, you know, probably all said and done, shipping like this costs about $1, right? There's The stamps are about a little over 50 cents when you buy them in bulk. Then, you know, it's a few cents for the envelope, a few cents for the little baggie, a few cents for the sleeve, a few cents for the top loader. And then there's usually a few like shipping fees related to the service that you're sending with. So all said and done, it'll probably cost about $1 to send these, send an item like this, which is good if you're sending a card that's, you know, up to $20, right? If a card's like $2, you definitely can't afford expensive shipping, right? If you're only making $2 on a card, you have to, you know, $1 that you're spending to ship is still half the value of your card just disappearing. So, you know, you have to find a cheap way, right? Plain white envelopes usually do the trick, and I've rarely had a problem. One thing that I like to do when I ship with plain white envelopes is sealing the back with packing tape, like this thicker tape that I have over here, right here. Just put it right across the back. I've seen, you know, the post office gets busy at some times of the year, or something gets mishandled, and you know, the whole thing rips open. I've lost probably, of the cards I've had an issue with, probably at least 2 of those were something related to that, like the post office mishandling. Ever since I started putting that big thick piece of tape on the envelope, I haven't had a problem in that way. So good way to keep your cards safe and secure, and you know, you'll be all set. Again, I have not had a problem with the post office destroying a package once I've put, you know, a nice big piece of packing tape across the back like that. So that's overall how I ship in a plain white envelope. Again, that's the cheapest way. Plain white envelope, also known as PWE. These are Amazon Basic plain white envelopes. I got these in a pack of 300. I think these are probably, for me, in like a couple cents each. I would recommend, again, with all the stuff that you try to buy in bulk, that's how you get your good savings. So try to buy a few hundred at once. I used to use this brand, which I really like. These had very nice, I'll put a link for these too. They were very nice envelopes. Sweetser and orange. They were like these nice brown, it kind of looked like a brown paper bag, but they were a little thicker. I did like them a lot. They started to get expensive. They're probably about 10 to 12 cents each, which again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're shipping thousands of cards, you know, 10 or 12 cents can become, you know, if you think about 1,000 cards, 10 cents is $100. If you spend 10 cents per envelope and you're spending 1,000 cards, that's $100 in just envelopes. So I did like these. I probably will start using these again for like in that higher range, maybe like $15 to $20 cards that I still want to use a envelope for. I like these a lot, but yeah, they just got a little expensive, so I went on something like this. Probably next time I refill envelopes, I'm going to go for an 1,000 pack, so they'll get even cheaper. But again, yeah, that's something, you know, you got to keep it in mind, because again, if you're going to be selling, you know, cards for maybe $1 or $2, you definitely have to optimize that shipping cost and make sure you're getting that economy of scale. So once I exceed the $20 limit, that's where I want to go to something tracked, maybe something a little more, you know, with a little more protection, and that's where I would switch to a bubble mailer, which I have right here. Again, got these on Amazon. Probably all said and done, they're like 20 cents each or so, and yeah, they're good. You open it up. It's got the tape just like the auto seal, just like the plain white envelopes do. Again, I would recommend, even though this is already sticky, I'd pull this off and there's that little like sticky layer below it and it would seal itself. Again, I would recommend putting a piece of tape over this just to be super safe. Yeah, so you put that in, you open that up, you slide your card in, and you're all set to go. They fit pretty snugly. You could probably fit about, I've fit about 20 or 30 cards in these pretty nicely. They go in there. So, you know, even if maybe you have a bunch of singles all worth $1 or something like that, you can still, you know, send a pretty good number of cards in this too. So yeah, whether I'm sending, you know, maybe one valuable card or a handful of lower value cards, bubble mailers come in handy. And then with bubble mailers, I would use these larger labels to print out a with this laser printer that I showed you before, to print out a label. Really good ways, again, websites to check out are YuGiOh. I really like YuGiOh. This is not sponsored by YuGiOh, but I do like them a lot. I think that's their website, YuGiOh. And I just get good rates on their website. I don't have to pay to sign up. I just buy labels from them. So I enter my address, I enter the address I'm trying to send them to, and usually for about $3 you can get a label that you can print at home. That's another thing. It's important if you're going to be shipping more, maybe you have more valuable cards that you're trying to send. If you're going to be shipping a lot of these, it's important that you can ship those at home with this laser printer versus having to go to the post office every time. I see people get in the post office and they say, you know, I have these 10 different packages and I have 10 different addresses they want to send them to, and the guy at the post office is trying to figure out what's going on. It's a lot easier if you can just come to the post office with your package. You got the label on it, you just say, here you go, I want a receipt, and that's it. If you sell on eBay, they also give you some options to, you know, they'll sell you kind of like discounted postage and things like that. So some of the sites will also have discounted postage, but you know, if you just sell something on Instagram or what have you, you can go on YuGiOh and get a label. Again, this is not sponsored by YuGiOh. That's just what I happen to use, and I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, that's how I ship these. And again, definitely, I know I've said this a few times, but definitely print those things at home. It's going to get crazy if you try to go to the post office with 10 envelopes. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I ship most things. Let me take this out before I forget about it. Not that it's a particularly valuable card, but just to get that out. These are good up to about £1. The way at least in the US, again, this is all based in the US, up to about £1, you can ship something like this, or even a small box. Even some of these small boxes that I showed you before, you can ship for about $3 or $4. Once you go over £1, it takes a big jump to $8, give or take. Sometimes like 6 or 7. Again, some discounts you can get, but that's generally the breaking point is $1 or £1, right? So you can ship like one card in here for just a stamp. Then, you know, anything from, you know, 4 ounces to £1, you can get away with for about like $4, and that'll be in some of these small boxes that I showed you before. And then above £1, you get definitely more expensive. So if you're ever if you're ever putting together bulk lots or things like that of like, oh, you know, 100 random cards, something like that, try to pick a quantity that, like, if somebody buys one, it'll be less than £1. Don't sell, you know, 300 cards if 300 cards is going to be, you know, £1.50, and then you end up paying way more in shipping. And so there's a lot of things when you're getting into the business of selling that you're going to learn, like, you know, sometimes the way you'd ship something affects how you would sell something, or the amount of something you'd be willing to sell, or, you know, there's all kinds of different little things that you'll learn and patterns that you'll get into that you'll find. It definitely takes some practice, but you'll learn it as you sell more. The other probably item that's good to mention is just getting a scale. So this one is clearly well used. I use it all the time. This is an Onyx scale. It works fine. It's nothing special. It just literally tells you the weight. You plug it in. It's by USB, so I can plug it in right to my computer. It tells you what the weight is, and that's really it. So again, I use it to make sure I'm under £1, so I can ship things for, you know, that like $4 mark. So grab one of those if that's interesting to you and you feel like you need that. You know, if you try to weigh your cards on like a human scale, it probably won't get it right, because human scales are meant to measure, you know, tens of pounds or 100 pounds. You know, something like this is meant to measure things that are like under 10 pounds, give or take. And they're a little more accurate. So definitely get a scale, but still, these are not that expensive. I think this was like 10 or 15 bucks, not too bad. But overall, that is what you need to know. I think that should give you the basis of how to ship cards from a plain white envelope to a bubble mailer to a small box. It gives you a few tips about how to organize your workspace, and then some different boxes that you can use to ship your stuff. Anyway, if you like what you saw, please let me know by liking and subscribing. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave these in the comments. I may make a follow-up video, and like I said, I'm probably also going to make a video of the websites you can use to ship cards like this. So definitely keep your eye out for that. A few other things. Again, if you like any of the products that you see here, most of those will have links down in the description where you can buy them on Amazon. So please go do that if you like those. Again, It doesn't cost you anything. It just gives this channel a little kickback of some of the sales. So anyway, again, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Come back soon to check out other videos about shipping, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, playthroughs, all kinds of stuff related to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering cards. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and see you next time.